to our little home sweet safe home discussion here at CES. I'm Mike Prospero. I'm the U.S. Editor-in-Chief for Tom's Guide. And with me here I have Danny Anger, or Angers, depending on where you're from. He's the co-founder and CEO of VOSKER. And we also have Leah Page. She's the Senior Vice President of Product Strategy at ADT. And finally, we have Yaniv Amir, who is the President of Essence USA. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us at this discussion today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, so I'm going to start off first sort of with a little overview of where we see the smart home category going in 2024. We're seeing a lot of sort of maturation of the market. We're evolving from early adopters to now more mainstream consumers. Installing things like thermostats and security cameras. So, what are the biggest challenges you guys are seeing as the market shifts into a larger market?
Yeah, you want to jump in?
Sure. Absolutely. I like that, the pass of the baton. No, I think there's a lot of relevancy, ADT obviously being a security company. So we're seeing, a lot of different trends out there. I would say one that's been really interesting for us is the prevalence of people trying to really create their own definition and meaning of security. So, if you look back really 10 years, 20 years, there was a definition that was put out by folks like us, right? Technologists that said, hey, this is the definition of security. This is the definition of smart home. And I think over time, what we've actually seen is people have taken different collections of items, devices, services, and created something that's meaningful for them. They've defined, in my case, their own definition of security. And so I think as we continue down that path, there'll be more of it. We've even seen, the growth of DIY quite a bit. So there was a recent Parks research that was put out, and about 47% of intenders in the security market are actually opting for DIY type solutions. And so it's really important, I think, that we understand that consumers are thinking about, in our case, security, but really even smart home in a very different and meaningful way. It does bring in new characteristics of those types of customers. So things like month to month or services, and the way that they consume services is very different. There's also, just being able to really expand a system when you feel it's right for you and your family, or you and your home. And then also just, again, really helping to define what's important to me. So my definition of security might be very different than Yaniv's, and and that's okay. We can't just, as the industry, put it out there and define it. It's really, I think, put into the consumer's hands. And I think that's really exciting. And it's something that, a lot of the protocols and things that we're doing help to enable that. But the fact that there's so much consumer choice out there is something that's a really important trend.
Yeah, and maybe to jump into that part of the discussion, there is, to me, you say, yes, the market is maturing. We're getting at a certain level of people know now a solution that exists, and you get to the DIY version of product a lot more. So that means that the solution is a bit more democratized in various ways. But to my own perspective, what I see, and even with VOSKER as a newcomer in the industry, because our company is just now 5 years old, but we grew significantly fast because of the product offering. I think it is still the very, very early stage of that deployment of technology. I think we look at the world today and see, yeah, it's very connected. There's a lot more solution. There's a lot more smart home and a lot more people using these sort of technologies. But I think we're just at like this inception point, because when you look 10 years from now, it's going to be a world that's going to be 10x the time of what it is currently connected, and what are the device or the potential device that will exist 10 years from now. I think there's a lot more to be done with the technology that are now getting on the market. So you think about AI, which is basically the word, the fancy word of that discussion.
$5.
I was trying not to say it, but like, we're here. We're at CES.
Yes, exactly. The AI
We're going to put the $5 in the jar. And I think like that's one topic, but IoT-wise, there's a lot of technology that are coming in, and just thinking about VOSKER and bringing the connectivity aspect of various devices. So to us, we are bringing solutions that are cellular enabled, which was something that even maybe 6-7 years ago was not that easy to build as a solution and then deploy for a client. And we are doing it in a DIY fashion, which is once again another step towards like massive deployment of that technology. So I really see the future as a bit more brighter in terms of maturing, because I really believe that today is just the starting point. I don't know what's your thought on that, Yann.
Yeah, so to build on what Leah said about security and how the definition is shifting and it's not the same for everyone, I think starting in 2024, we see a lot of global uncertainty, and when people are, especially in the US, it's an election year, that's another layer of uncertainty, and those compounded situations create people with lack of safety. And I think then they look for solutions. And the solution could be, I live next to New York City, and you see it in major cities now in the States. Crime rates are going up. So people are not feeling safe. And what does that mean? They're looking for solutions. And the solution could be, I'm going to move to a safer neighborhood. A solution could be, I'm going to get a gun, But a solution could be a technological solution, and I think it's our responsibility as an industry to intervene in time for intrusions when they happen, and to deter intrusions altogether when it's possible. And that's what we're trying to focus on in our company.
Speaking of your customers, another trend obviously is an aging population, some of whom have grown up with the technology and some who have not. So how do you address that market as more and more Americans say, are becoming older and maybe choosing to remain in their homes?
Mm-hmm.
I think technology-wise, as a business, we are doing our very best to try to simplify the usage of complex technology and enabling users to do it through their own installation brings that ease of mind of like, hey, I can do it myself, I can bring more technology. They own themselves that said process. I think that technology and that space is evolving quite a lot in terms of prevention. I think we're seeing a lot more tools to help you, get your home a bit more safer, but what does that mean to have your home a bit more safe? Well, I think now you can protect yourself from the outside threat, so somebody getting in your house, vandalism happening in your house. But like, what is it that you can do to protect yourself from yourself? So when I'm talking about prevention and an aging population, I'm talking about smart aging. I'm talking about new tools to kind of prevent you from having a stroke and being alone. So if you have devices at home that can take a look at what is happening inside your home and protecting you from yourself, being alone, not being able to call 911 because you're facing a cardiac arrest, or that you basically trip down and fall on the floor and now you're just there laying alone. I think those technology are coming in, and I think this population that is now a bit more inclined to use that said technology because of all the new development that has happened in the last decade. I think we're going to see an improvement in those sort of solution and a fast track into the new way of getting yourself safer in your own home. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think that's certainly very complementary to how I would answer the question. Backing up a little bit, if we look at some of the macro level factors, we have 10,000 people in the United States every day that turn 65. So for someone like myself who owns a health business at ADT, that's awesome. Our TAM is expanding every day. So it's one of my favorite stats. No, but it's really, really interesting. I think about the dynamic and how that shifts the population and what that actually does. So I think that's really important. We also have, a lack of caregivers. So there aren't enough people that are willing to do the types of activities and take on the jobs that are required to help these seniors at home. And so that's another factor that on a macro level is really, obviously changing it. I think you also have the idea that seniors would like to stay in the home longer, right? Facilities are really expensive. They want to be in the best of the best, and they're finding that, hey, I maybe didn't budget for this, or budget my retirement for this, and it's not something that's realistic for me as a senior. And so those factors, when you start to think about it, are creating this need for technology to be in the home. But some of the other sort of psychological factors for seniors, things like they don't love cameras, they don't want to be watched, that's something that's perceived as negative, are then, now allowing for smarter devices, so watches and rings and other things that can help with the, with what's happening with my body, can give that information, that data, seamlessly without, again, having to be on camera or having an intrusive experience. Technology like presence detection is another wonderful way that we can help to bring in technology to the home that's not intrusive to the life of that senior. And so I think there's a ton that we'll start to see there. We at ADT have a big PERS-based business. We love that. I think that there is certainly a place in the market for it, but it is for that older senior. I mentioned earlier, 10,000 people already turned 65. That's a very youthful senior. They grew up with cell phones. They understand smartwatches. They want all of that. And so those sorts of devices and things that we could do with a younger senior, the PERS devices don't really meet it, right? When I look through things that come in, it's all about like, well, I've been tagged as old if I have to wear a PERS device. And so we need to really be thinking about, the new demographic that's coming into that aging population. So I think that's an important aspect. The last piece of it is who's paying, who's buying these devices, right? You have caregivers that are an important piece of that. We have insurance companies that are an important piece of that. And so the data that's actually coming out of devices, coming out of platforms and systems is more important. Why do I want to continue paying for that senior's device? Well, I want to make sure that I know that mom, if she fell and she's alone, that that's data that's interesting to me. And then lastly, as a monitoring company, we're excited to be able to help to get that last mile of support. So when it's emergency services, great. When it's not, and we see a ton of that in our business, right? More often than not, there's a fall that somebody needs a little bit of help, but not an ambulance level of help. And so enabling solutions that allow for neighbors to help or loved ones to, have access control into the home when needed is, I think, an important part of that broader smart aging ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, to me, the key word is simple, right? So it needs to be simple to install and simple to use. Older adults may have some technological challenges. Yes, they're younger, and yes, they're more adept now to use the internet and etc. But still, they have some challenges. So a simple solution in the right price range is the way to go. And because it's a younger crowd, then mobility is important. So the ability to be both in-home and on the go is a key feature that is required. And I think also that older adults, seniors have been independent for 50, 60 years, and suddenly someone comes with a pendant and say, wear this, and they go, who are you again? I changed your diapers. So it doesn't work like that. And you need solutions that will enable people who want wearable or people who don't want wearable. And so you need a wide range of offerings that can allow fall detection without wearables, allow voice activation without wearables, and other technologies that are emerging that will give the market what they want and not just go on a fear base that mostly is coming from the caregivers and not from the seniors themselves.
You mentioned some of these emerging technologies. What are some examples of these technologies that you all think are going to be very significant in the coming years?
So for us, we have, can I say AI?
You can
$5.
$5.
We have a multi-sensor solution mainly based on radar technology that can detect the orientation of the person. So we can tell if they're standing or sitting, lying on a bed, or flat on the ground. And it can differentiate between pets and people or younger children versus an adult. So when a person falls, it can detect that fall without wearing anything and alert. That's one technology that is relatively new and very exciting for us. The other technology is voice activation. There's a lot of Google Home and Amazon boxes out there that use voice. We think it's a great solution for most of the time, but it's lacking a couple of things. The first one, it's not water resistance for the shower. And secondly, it needs Wi-Fi or another connection to the internet that makes it a little bit more complicated. So we created a standalone unit that can detect voice and activate a 911 call or a monitoring center call in those type of situations, whether it's in the shower where above 50% of the falls occur, or in other locations in the house.
Yeah, and at VOSKER, we've developed technology that's based on the fact that you don't have always access to connectivity everywhere you want to go, or everywhere in your house, or even on your own land. So we've developed cellular capabilities to enable that connection to be everywhere. But most of our devices today are cameras. We are working actively into developing other sort of device that will help the user being more empowered and try to use it in different ways. But the thing that you always want to be conscious of is exactly to Leah's point, like nobody likes to be watched consistently or feel like you're being tracked consistently. And wearing a tracker does feel like you're being tracked consistently. So how do you, not only from a company perspective, but from an industry expert, one of the main concern that we are always trying to solve for is how do you develop a technology or a product that will make the user happy to use it and feels like it is there to help and not to feel like you're being tracked all the time. Mm-hmm. That's a key issue to me when I look in the future of that said industry. I don't want to feel myself as being tracked, even though I'm wearing a lot of tracker, but I do want to have this next level technology that will enable us to live better and safer everywhere we are.
The other challenge with what you're saying, Danny, is the state level regulations. So each state is looking at privacy and how do you track people and what's considered tracking people. And it becomes very, very cumbersome for a company to know on which state this is allowed, this is not allowed, what kind of notification do you need to provide, what kind of information can you store or not store, how to delete it, how to maintain it. It's a really big issue for technology companies now.
Totally.
Yeah, from a security perspective, we certainly look at devices that essentially you guys are thinking about from a technology standpoint and manufacturing. So we do a lot of consumption, but to sort of just bring another angle to it, I guess to talk about it from a monitoring perspective and what's happening in that last mile. So it's one thing to have great devices and technology that can allow to know what's going on, and I think you're right, and in maybe not an intrusive way or non-intrusive way, is really important. I personally think that a lot that's happening with presence detection, both over Wi-Fi, and there's some radar and other technologies that are being implemented, is really exciting. But to also help in the instance when something has been identified. So if we have better accuracy and knowledge about the situation, not just that somebody fell, but what are the other parameters? If they happen to be wearing a smartwatch, can we understand that data set? And then in the future, here's my $5, use AI or interpret it to then be preventative, because that's really what insurance companies and others need. That data set I talked about earlier, I think fall is like a $50 billion problem. I mean, it is huge. And so if you can think about the data that goes into understanding that preventative measure, that's something that's also really important as we think about devices and services and even the data that has to go back to potentially the people that are paying for these services in the future.
And just to add on top of it, yes, it's a huge problem financially, but it's also a huge problem from a life expectancy. So the average person, after they fall, has a life expectancy of less than 1 year. And that's a very serious problem. So if we could prevent that and extend their lives, it would be great for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, now's my turn to add $5 into the
Okay,
pot too.
let's go.
So, I mean, obviously, AI is everywhere at CES. I think we'd be remiss about not talking about it. So where do you see AI fitting into, a safer and a smarter smart home?
Sure. So I can start. At ADT, we're looking at it really through a security lens. So if you have a set of activities that you do every day, let's say you get up, you turn up the air condition, you get ready to leave your home, your phone, is gone from sort of the knowledge of that home, and you arm a system. There's characteristics, like you're basically creating this pattern. And so if you have a day that you do, 9 of those 10 pattern moments, and you miss one, like arming your system, could we be smarter and could the home actually present to you the idea that, hey, you didn't do one of these steps, and would you like us to arm your system in our case? And I think that's, it's a pretty easy idea, and it's something that's simplistic, but allows people to maybe connect a little bit better. Hey, my home cares about me. It understands what I'm trying to do. The downside, or the thing we need to be careful about, is the creepy factor. Let's be honest. I don't know if I want my home to know and suggest to me that I should be doing different activities. So I think we have to be very careful about the types of how we're using AI to maybe suggest things that make the home smarter or make you feel more a part of it, without again being just overbearing or knowing too much about me, or giving me this idea that there's some sort of infringement on my privacy that's actually happening.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you need to see the value-added feature to avoid seeing the creepy aspect of it. To me, when I look at the whole ecosystem, and I think at VOSKER we build ecosystem for our client, and those ecosystems are currently mainly focused on the VOSKER product and the VOSKER brand, and how we can help the user within our own ecosystem. The issue I see in the future is that you've got a tracker from this company, you've got another watch from another company, you've got cameras from another business, and then all of a sudden you've got like 5 or 7 ecosystems that are currently not talking to each other. Yep. And I think the next layer of AI in that field would be to find ways to bring together all these technology in a simple way, so that the user doesn't have to try to figure out like how is the whole ecosystem working. Like the AI has already done this job of filtering out and giving you those notifications that really matters, or that are really helpful to you. And otherwise, you'll get 7 notifications from 7 different ecosystems, and that doesn't help within the parameters of not feeling like you're tracked.
So I think AI today is an experience enhancer. And this will change in the coming years. I think AI would revolutionize the market. It will be a complete disruptive technology. But for now, it's exactly what Leah said. Like, you can use AI to arm or disarm your system based on facial recognition or other solutions. You can replace a wearable fall detector with a non-wearable fall detector like we do, and other technologies like that make the experience more seamless and easier to digest, less tracking, less creepy. But I think in the future we would see AI generate other concepts and ideas that collectively as human beings we can think about it, but each company individually are missing the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it would be fair to say then that AI is just like any other technology that you're using in your smart home right now, in that you want it to be sort of comprehensive and helpful, but you don't want it to be creepy.
Yes.
That's where it crosses the line. I think
Yeah.
that becomes problematic. And obviously there is a lot out there about the way that customers feel about their data, how they want that privacy aspect of it. As a security company, we're very attuned to that, right? We have to make sure that that if you're allowing us to be the protector of the home, then you should never feel that it's too intrusive or that the experience is too overwhelming. So we call it creepiness, but really I wish there was a more professional word for it. But I think that's really encompasses what the feeling of it is.
Big brother.
Yes.
Well, we have to make sure that we're not afraid to say it, so that we can protect ourselves from getting to that point. So I think we have to make sure that we prevent those creepy things from happening. But on the data privacy perspective and on the security aspect of these data that our devices are collecting. The issue is how do you keep yourself up to date every time? Because maybe today your whole ecosystem feels secure. Maybe today you think as an entity or a company that you've done everything you could, but like, are you able to face down the threat of tomorrow? And how do you get to that point? I think at VOSKER we are doing a lot of stuff on a sustained basis, but that needs to always be in our mind, in our core value. How do we protect our ecosystem to protect the said user that lives into our ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess to sort of further on that point, you know, I think there's a sort of dual role with any sort of security system is to, one, protect homeowners and users from sort of physical dangers, but then there's a second aspect. How do you protect them from themselves and getting, you know, their information out into the wild that they might not realize? Like, how do you help manage that?
Yeah, absolutely. False alarms are a big issue in the industry, and most of them are created by human errors. So that's where AI, again, can help understand which steps were skipped and help correct those, can understand if something is happening in a neighborhood when you have a cluster of customers in a certain neighborhood, can understand weather patterns, and you know, if there's, let's say, a big weather storm outside, the windows are shaking, this is not, in the entire neighborhood, this is not an intrusion, this is a false alarm kind of thing.
Yeah, but for that to happen, you have to get to a point where you've got a significant amount of devices that are some sort of like getting this information out there. And this is where we talk about IoT in a much more bigger scheme. And I think to one of the point of the discussion we wanted to have is how does matter?
That's $2.
yeah, $2. But we are getting to this point where people start to understand that like the ecosystem has to have to be able to talk to each other, and Matter really brings that to the table. I think we're still, once again, very early into this adoption of the technology, but I see a lot of potential to it in the future. I just don't know exactly how it's going to happen and unfold, but I think that on our side, what we're doing is trying to, as much as possible, to understand what can you use in terms of technology, and I'm talking about AI, IoT, Matter, all that included together. What can you really bring as a solution, a simple solution that creates value for the client? And currently, it is always something that you have to work onto every day, because the technology is evolving so fast. When you compound all these together, it's like you wake up every other day and like, wow, this new thing just happened that 10 years ago would have taken 10 years to happen. And now it's happening on a daily and weekly basis. So you have to face that. And you have to make sure that you're always up to date for your client in order to protect them from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, I think we sort of answered the question in a lot of different ways, but just to kind of pile on top, because I know Matter was something we as a panel kind of talked about. I think, you know, when you have these large tech giants like Apple and Google and Amazon coming into play to say like, hey, we need this interoperability, this has to happen. It will take time, and you know, there are a bunch of announcements made at this CES about, you know, devices that are now using Matter, how, you know, onboarding can be easier and how interoperability can be easier. But it will take time for any standard to kind of to really get a life of its own. I think the other thing that will naturally happen over time is that use cases will start to come. So people will need, you know, it will be consumer driven, and that will start to you know, maybe convince smaller companies or just companies that are on the fence about, you know, should I integrate Matter? Like, let's be honest, there's, you know, chipset cost concerns, there's obviously firmware cost concerns. I mean, this is, you know, something that would have to go into the roadmap and be developed. But as consumers start to push and understand, and there's more maybe interoperability there, I think that it will be something that naturally will start to proliferate.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think there are multiple protocols out there, and Matter is one of them, and they're all competing with each other, so that interoperability is a challenge. And like Danny said, you have to select, you can't do it all. You have to select where you're focused and what's what is your goal for the year. I think that Matter right now is in a too high of a frequency. There is a new Matter version coming out. Maybe in 2026, in a couple of years, we'll have the sub-gigahertz Matter protocol out there. And that will be a better fit for security products, as all the peripherals today, or the vast majority of them in the industry, are in those frequency ranges for purposes of different construction, whether it's wood or concrete or steel, and different house sizes, etc. There is a sweet spot of frequencies that are better for those in-home solutions, and 2.4 isn't the best one. We see it with Wi-Fi, that you have to start with repeaters, and does it work in the basement or in the attic, etc. Matter would face the same thing at this frequency, but with the next generation of Matter coming out, I think that issue will get resolved.
Okay. Sort of on a more personal note, how you are all obviously experts in the field of smart home. How do you make your own smart home as safe as you can be?
Well, coming from my own background and having built a device-enabled company, mostly with cameras, I can assure you that my home has a significant amount, which I'm not going to disclose because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. But let's say that I do use a lot of these devices myself, and I see that the more I use, the more things could be done with it. So, of course, I use all the other smart devices, but I think that the camera per se can be, yes, a camera, but it is also a sensor in its own way. You can add a lot of things to all these cameras. And now with the connectivity aspect that we are taking further with the cellular-enabled capabilities that we have, you can remotely access or monitor things that matter to you without you being there or without you being on spot every time. And that to me is important. If you want to monitor your front yard or your backyard, well, what is it you do if you don't have access to the said connectivity or that Wi-Fi 30 feet outside of your home is not working correctly, then our camera are deployed there. And I can assure you that I do have a number that's significant.
Sounds like double digits.
Oh yeah, it could get three digits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also probably say cameras as well. I'll answer it two ways. One, the most useful, personally, is cameras. I have kids, and so for me, understanding when they come home, what they're doing, is something that's really important to me. But I'll say the most useful one I have is certainly my smart vacuum, right? Like, so we won't go into brands, but we've done a lot of testing there. And again, that's been one that's been a little bit of a life changer for me personally.
We have a DIY security system called We Are at Home, and my wife loves it. When I travel, she feels comfort that something is protecting her in the unlikely event that there will be an intrusion. The siren will go off, they would wake everybody up and maybe deter the intrusion. That's
And I guess what are you most looking forward to in your field?
Well, in terms of technology in our specific field, sorry. So I think there I'll have to pay $5 once again, but the AI aspect of bringing devices to a next level in terms of being smarter. So recognizing that the people that are getting to your home are friendly faces and or not, or that they do represent a potential threat. So this really comes down to predictive analytics and trying to predict what's going to happen next and try to avoid, if it's something that's not good, it from happening or prevent that said thing from happening. So I think I'm really looking forward for that. And in the context of smart aging, for example, well, having devices that are somehow in your home trying to see or prevent that cardiac arrest from happening. Because they detect something that to the human eyes could not be detected, but an AI that's compounding all this data together and bringing them together and say, hey, maybe something can happen in the next few minutes. I should get this notification to you that, hey, maybe you should sit down before you fall off. I think I'm really looking forward for that. I don't know, is it 5, 10 years from now? But I'm pretty certain it's going to happen. I'm just looking forward for that aspect of technology to be deployed.
I think, I kind of started and talked about customization and how it's important for, all customers to be able to define what that means to them. And I think at ADT, we were just launching our own platform. And for us to have the ability to, put different peripheral devices to really help people understand, what their definition is and meet them at that definition is something I'm excited about. It seems obvious. It seems like something as IoT we've been talking about for a long time, but actually, seeing that come together. As far as aging in place, I remain really bullish on presence detection as a concept. I think that it solves a lot of the difficulties that we're finding with our senior population. And so I think that's one that we'll certainly look to say, hey, this is something that we can deploy in home and allows. It doesn't prevent the types of devices like PERS devices and smartwatches and other things that we also need, but the combination of that data coming together, I think will be really important. So I remain excited about that.
I'm looking forward to taking all the pot money and putting it on red. On a more serious note, yeah, definitely. I think AI would be a disruptive technology in the market, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all the different solutions and the change in lifestyle like the internet did for all of us. I think this is what AI will do to us in the coming years, and it's beyond our imaginations.
Great. Well, we have a couple minutes left, but are there any other remarks that any of you would like to make that we haven't covered yet?
Maybe if you want to jump ahead.
Boy, I don't know. I think we hit all the major buzz bingo words. I'm not sure that I have one. Mike, I just want to say thank you. It's been a great panel, and it's been wonderful to meet both of you. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I think we've touched all the subjects that really matter.
Oh wow!
I felt
that's
like
another $2.
I wasn't sure if I was about to go to say that, but like at some point, it really felt like it needed to be said. But yeah, I think we touched these subjects that matters forward-looking. I think that AI is going to be a disruptor. I think that it's the amalgamation of a significant amount of technology that will be something that's going to trigger a new phase of our evolution. And so, yes, AI, IoT matter, the connectivity aspect. When you bring that all together, I think the speed to which it's going to evolve is going to be significantly higher than what it was in the past. At VOSKER, we've got a saying. We say always changing, always adapting, always forward. And we say that to remind ourselves that we have to, keep the pace of that changing world and that accelerating ecosystem. And I think that I wanted to end my part of the discussion with saying that we will do our very best for our client to keep that pace of evolution within sight and on par with it.
Yeah, so same here. Thank you for the invitation and great to meet both of you. I do think we didn't talk enough about cellular security and how LTE-M comes into play. It's a relatively new technology that is designed for IoT, make devices smaller, lighter, battery operated, and provides an additional security layer that could create new IoT devices and interesting stuff that is coming out to the market.
All right. Well, like I said, I wanted to thank you all for joining me on stage today, and I hope you had a great CES, and I thought this was a really nice discussion. So thank you again for coming, and thank all of you for attending.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.